uh, an alum of the program, a friend who's got a story. Mark, are you out there? Mark Davis.
How are you doing? Howdy from Texas. My name's Mark Davis.
Put in more
And
syllables. Slow it down.
slow it down. You know, I have so much to talk about that I have to go fast to hit your 3 minutes because you threatened me with Okie from Muskogee if I go over. So
Go.
I was trying to step on the gas as quick as I could.
Kick it up. No more extra syllables.
Yeah, I knew Dr. Don Schultz as a fellow Okie and a University of Oklahoma alum, Boomer Sooner. He was also a Phi Kappa Psi fraternity brother, and the Oklahoma Alpha, who's celebrating its centennial, will recognize him in October as a distinguished alumni, and the National Fraternity gives their regards as well. I'm also a personal recipient of his much acclaimed Wicked Purple Pin at Northwestern. And on a side note, I think that should be an award, you know, the Purple Pen Award for the person that might ask the brightest question.
Good idea.
I knew him as a consultant and mentor. In fact, he really impacted the very direction of my life, and he gave me confidence to pioneer through my career working for companies like Dr. Pepper, AT&T, Intel, Netscape during the dot-com boom and Entrust. And I just want to give my best to Heidi and your family. I don't know you well. I obviously know Dr. Schultz, but I'm sure that if he were here, he would say that you're his better half. And we just want to thank you for sharing him with us. It's really a privilege. When I was asked to talk, I was a little shocked, but he wanted me to talk about the Okie side of Don Schultz. I believe y'all kind of know what I'm talking about. You know, Don Schultz always purposely had red dirt underneath his fingernails. And what I mean is that even though Dr. Schultz earned international acclaim and academic achievement, you always, beyond a doubt, knew that he was an Okie at heart. Because when you work hard and play hard in Oklahoma, you get covered, you know, with the red dirt. And besides Oklahoma football, he was one of those few who stood out. And he became famous with his Okie accent, and it became one of his most powerful trademarks. I first met Dr. Schultz when I opened the door at Medill School of Journalism in the summer of 1982. And I had no expectations. I was extremely naive and broke, Okie, and it was the furthest I'd ever been away from home. And I was a little shell-shocked. But Dr. Schultz soon sought me out, and he said, howdy. And he brought me in his office, and we became close. And I felt like we had a unique bond, but now I'm hearing that was just, he had a unique bond with everybody. He frequently dusted me off during the program and kind of pushed me back into battle in the middle of adversity. After blistering personal attacks from another of his favorite faculty member, he called me in his office and set me down, and he said, Mr. Davis, I heard you had a terrible time in there. And I really did. It was an extremely bad meeting. We had to take a break, and my eyes were glistening. And, you know, he just sat there and stared at me until I laughed. And it was really a voice from home, toughening my skin. You know, I would have years in the boardroom that I needed to hear Dr. Schultz say, get your butt back in the room, you know, get back in battle. And one of the greatest days of my life was when I got a job offer from Y&R New York, Ogilvy, and Tracy Locke. And I told Dr. Schultz, and he leapt out of his chair and shook my hand, and he just blurted, go ask your favorite professor which job you should take. And Dr. Schultz stood in the hallway close enough to listen to my exchange without being seen. But when I came out, he just smiled and turned around, went in his office, and he closed his door. And it was just, it's a moment that I think I'll just always remember, because he was in my corner, even though maybe somebody else wasn't so much. I would argue that being an Okie was Dr. Schultz's secret sauce, the reason to believe in his personal brand differentiation. His famous "who cares" would probably only be just 2 words if he didn't deliver it with his trademark top Okie accent, and he milked it for all it's worth. You know, Dr. Schultz didn't hail from New York City, Miami, New York, San Francisco. He went to OU, and he was an Okie boy. And he made a name for himself at Tracy Locke, which was kind of a Southwest agency. It was that common man Okie touch with uncommon insight that made him sought out at universities and corporations around the world. And I reached out to him a few times for consulting for me. He never, ever let us forget that he was a common man from Oklahoma. But boy, did he have uncommon intellect and presence. Who cares, Dr. Schultz would say. I am one of the thousands who can confidently say we care. Thank you, Dr. Schultz. I hope heaven was ready when you opened that door. It'll never be the same. Ever the same. And I know I was never the same after I opened the door at Medill School of Journalism at Fisk Hall and shook John Schultz's hand. I really am honored to speak and share my fondness and great memories of a great man from Oklahoma.
Well,
thank you.
Thank you so much. And I have to tell you, the whole idea of Don the Okie making a stop in Texas and then running an ad agency for a national account on Park Avenue across from the Waldorf. Oh man,